Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today is episode 6 of Know Your Author series, and today we have with us Jamal Fatima. She's a poet, she's a blogger, she's a writer, and it's past midnight somewhere, her debut book. So let's find out more from Jamal herself. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today we have with us Jamal Fatima. She's a poet, she's a writer, blogger, DIY crafter. It's past midnight somewhere is her debut book. It's a collection of poems and she has won numerous awards in poetry competitions. Her poems are published in many literary Canadian and Pakistani magazines, and she's originally from Pakistan. Currently, she's living in Canada from past 10 years.
15.
Yes, with her husband and her cat Mia. So we will know more from Jamal. Yes, Jamal. We are so excited to know more about you.
Thank you so much, Sana, for having me. I'm
Oh,
so
it's all
excited.
my honor. I'm so happy that I can have you. And I have read some of your poetry on your blog and also on your sites and on Instagram, and I love it. I
Oh,
even
thank
love
you.
your account. It's so, I would say, creative and crafty, and I can see all
I
your
try.
creativity there.
Oh, thank you. I try. Yes.
No, it is there. It is there, and it's beautiful. So, how was your childhood? How were you as a child? How was
So,
Jamal when she was a child?
so I grew up in the Middle East. I grew up in Saudi Arabia. My parents lived there for 38 years or something. So that's where I was raised. In the 90s. It was a very isolated and secluded environment. So books were my refuge. So I was into books all the time. I was definitely timid and shy. I was a short person. I was always petite. So in a hustle of school, you try to just be safe. That's how it was for me. But I had always been very creative, that's for sure. Like I would do things with my hand. I would create items out of paper. I drew, I painted, I wrote. I did that a lot, even as a child, but I never took myself seriously or my writing ability seriously until I became an adult.
Okay, that's nice to know. So, what
Thank
is your favorite book
I have a
or
favorite book from
books?
my childhood. Yeah, I was about to say I actually have two. So I have one from my childhood, and one from my adult life. So right now, as when somebody asks me, I'm like Book of Negroes by Lawrence Hill is my all-time favorite book. It's a little bit dark and it's very disturbing, but it talks about slavery. And it talks about the how Black people from Africa were pretty much like stolen and brought to the West, and how some of them ended up in Canada because Lawrence Hill is actually a Canadian author. I really, that book opened up my eyes to a very dark part of history, which I knew very little about. Um, it moved me, it educated me, it grew me as a person. Um, However, the childhood book that I wanted to mention is Ain't no Green Gables,
Yeah,
which happened
it's
to
my
be a
favorite too.
Canadian book as well.
I
Growing up
have
in,
loved it.
I know, right? Like I have read the whole series as a child, and then I have pretty much seen all the television adaptations of it, all of them.
I think
It's
I have started with the Netflix one. So
yes,
that's how I
yes.
discovered. And then I know it's based on the book. So I went to the book. So it was other way
Oh,
around for me. But I have
I
completely loved it.
it's so good. Like the book is definitely written in a different era, and the series, the Netflix series, is made in a different era, but they have done justice to it.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
actually really like that take as well. So it happens to be a Canadian author and a Canadian book as well. It's a huge legacy that Canadian author has left in the world, literature world. But I'm very proud to say that I read it even before I was introduced to the country or the culture.
That's great. Yeah. Because I came to know it from Netflix. Okay. So what is your favorite food and drink? Is it,
Oh,
let me
pretty
guess,
much.
biryani?
No, God, no. No. Um, it was hard for me to write it down because I like all sorts of food. But then I summed it up like anything that I can't make. So not Indian food because that's what I make at home. Uh, God, I'm so sick of biryani now because I make
Really?
so much of
I
it.
don't make it so often, so I'm still okay. So
I
whenever
make
I have time, then I make. So it's still a special thing.
Oh, good. Good for you. I'm so bored out of it. Probably because of COVID, I made it every 2 weeks or every weekend or something. And now I'm like, I need a break from it. So Middle Eastern food, Thai food, I pretty much like any other cultural food other than mine.
Yeah, for me, I like more Syrian and Lebanese food. It's
I
my
love it.
favorite. Yeah,
So good.
yeah. Okay, so what is your fun time? I think it will be
Um,
very easy for you with all the
well,
craft things that you do.
yes, absolutely. Again, it was like, okay, I've done so many things over time, over my life, but I feel like watercoloring sometimes. I feel like painting sometimes. I feel like binge watching. We talked about Netflix. This is not endorsed by Netflix, but I started to binge watch a lot of shows, probably because of COVID.
I was
Um,
addicted to Netflix, you know that.
I
So
try
I
not
stopped
to.
my addiction in like late 2020, but I said no, I'm not going back to it. So it's
Yeah,
more than 6 months.
yeah.
I am clean. I'm
Anything that changes my pace of things. So when it gets too much, I try to change it. Crafting definitely because I would try different mediums. And it's such a broad area that you could do anything, right? So definitely
I
crafting.
am a
Yes.
craft hoarder, but I never attempted. I like to collect. So I have so many things
Love that.
lying. Yeah, but I am still scared to attempt so many things. But I like to collect all the craft things. You know, whenever I go to in that section, I'm like that small kid, you know, in a candy shop, and I'm like, oh
Yes.
my god.
Oh my God. Oh God, I'm too. I'm not very good at it. Like I craft a lot, but I don't
Oh,
think
you
I'm
are
very
good
good
at
at
it.
it.
You are good at it. And also, I like your poems and all, especially the second one, which was the first
Oh,
one
thank
was a
you.
bit, I would say, intense,
Yes, yes,
painful. But since you said that it's also like healing kind of poetry,
yes,
yeah,
yes.
so I liked it.
My poetry, I hope we will get I'll get a chance to talk about my poetry. My poetry is my journey. So my book is called It's Past Midnight Somewhere, and it's a collection of poetry based on my life journey. I didn't intend it to be, but everything that I wrote about was heavily based on who I am, who I used to be, and how I have grown as a person. So there's a lot of pain and hurt as well, but there's also joy and hope in it.
I like the name. That's intrigued me.
A lot of people say that, and I'm
Yeah.
so glad that everybody resonates with it in different ways. It's also the name of one of my poems, and I feel it's timeless because there's midnight somewhere in the world all the time.
Always. Yeah. Yeah. I really liked it. It was such a, great thought in it that I thought
Thank
about
you.
it that, yeah, it's always midnight somewhere.
Somewhere, yes. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, what is writing for you?
It says on my Instagram page, it's healing to me.
Yeah. For me
Um,
also.
I it used to be my creative outlet, but I stopped writing for honestly for 20 years. I didn't write at all. And then whenever I wrote from time to time, it spoke a lot about what I was feeling at that time, that day, or if something has happened in my life which was significant, I would put it into paper, into words and on paper. Um, and pretty much what I felt after I compiled this book was this is my way of healing from a lot of hurt and a lot of pain that we have faced in life.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, whenever I see my childhood poems, I don't see them anymore, but they were all very sad. So I analyzed also that why they are sad. So I was only writing when I was really feeling sad or depressed or to express myself. But that
Hmm.
was also my way of healing, that once
Yes,
I write it, it's out of my system and I feel better.
absolutely. Absolutely. And it's also embracing it. You're accepting it,
Yeah.
that you're feeling it. Acknowledgement is the first step of healing.
Yeah, that resonated with me very well.
Thank you.
So yeah, so for publishing also, I was very curious to see your publishing journey, that you decided
Hmm.
to do self-publishing. It's a very
I
bold
did.
step. And how
Yes.
did you manage it, and how did you decide? How did you come to this point that I will do self-publishing?
Yes. So I didn't write for 20 years. And I picked up the pen again a couple of years ago. I wrote a few poems, then I shoved it in my drawer and they hid it and I hid it. And then COVID happened in March, right? We went into lockdown pretty much like the rest of the world. And I started to write again. There was so much going on around me. My father also became really sick at the same time, not with COVID, but with other different types of illnesses. And it was very traumatic. The world was closing down, and I couldn't focus on COVID because my focus was just preserving my parent and their health. So there was a lot going on. I started to write again. And between March and May, I wrote 50 poems. Um, I poured my pain and my experience on paper. And then I always wanted, it was like a secret that I kept to myself. I always wanted to publish a book. I wanted my name on the spine of a book. That was something like a childhood crazy dream. And you're like, and still you're like, no, that is never happening. And finally, this year, when I actually wrote 50 poems, I'm like, I actually have a collection that could be printed. I started looking into traditional houses and traditional publishing, and even like hybrid publishing, where there's an agent in between and things like that. It was so time consuming, and because of COVID, nobody was accepting any work. Because of COVID, I was motivated that I needed to put my work out in the world, and I, for the first time in my life, had the motivation and the time. So I didn't want to wait for a traditional house to either accept or reject me. The other reason is BIPOC stories, which is Black, Indigenous, and person of color stories, are very, very few. It's very hard to have our voices seen and heard by traditional houses. So I ran a risk of waiting 3 years and being rejected by a publishing house. So I started to look into self-publishing. And I completely self-taught myself the whole process. Read a lot of tutorials, attended all the free webinars. I also didn't have a lot of money to invest. So I completely self-taught the whole process. I used Amazon KDP as a publishing house, which is pretty much the most used universally for self-publishing. One motivation, people usually ask me, what was your motivation to put it out in the world like so quickly? Honestly, it was, I wanted to put it in my parents' hands when they were still here so they could actually enjoy it. And that's why I finished the manuscript between March and August. I finished the manuscript. It was all done. And then the designing, the cover, the formatting happened between September and October. And I launched the book November 12th.
Okay, great. Because I mean, there is always a doubt part between people, and I also feel there is one more thing. For example, you wrote poetry and you feel poetry. You feel emotion for a poem. But if it's
Mm-hmm.
lying with a publisher for 2 years, you stop feeling about that poem anymore,
Yes,
and they say, "Okay, can you change that?" What are you
that
talking about?
that is so true. Because I have never gone through it, I don't even know what it would make me as a person. But absolutely, you're right. People change. We grow or
Yeah.
change with times. Wow, that's a really good point.
I mean, I was also thinking in that terms, and I was like, if I have to wait 2 years or 3 years, I will even forget, what I was feeling at that moment and why I wrote certain things.
Hmm.
So yeah, I mean, and I for poetry especially, it has to come out immediately
Yeah,
from paper
I guess
to
so.
the print.
I guess so.
Yeah. So, do you have something to read for us?
Absolutely, I would love to. So I mentioned that the title of my book is also the name of a poem inside. So I would love to read that one for you. It's called It's Past Midnight. It's the second poem in the book, and this is how it goes. Somewhere it's past midnight. A poet struggles with a word chain. An artist draws and stencils in disdain. Someone is lonely, waiting for true love. Someone is praying for a miracle from above. It is also the time when a moth tries to fly to the moon and an orb weaver's cobweb is spun. It's past midnight somewhere, and some of the most daring tasks have begun.
No, it's really beautiful. It was so heart touching and I kind of like, oh my God,
Thank
this
you.
is so nice. I also read the book from Tamkeen. It's also really nice
Yes,
poetry, and it was so heart touching. I almost
yeah.
cried, I think, so many poems of her. I mean, I
Masha,
could
she's,
feel it so much, and she is very
yeah.
good at expressing and writing.
Exactly. Her imagery is so profound. I think she read a poem for me, and her book is from a perspective of a mother. And what really moved me was I'm not a mother in life, but I could
Hey, you
still
are a
feel
mother,
the
you have a
pain.
cat.
I do. And I have a book. Books are babies too. But in general terminology, I'm not. And still it touched me and I was able to relate to her imagery
Especially the
so
one
well.
where it was like when I'm gone, that was the
Yes.
one. Yeah, I cried in that one so much. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It was like, okay, what they will think of me. And where she's telling them
Yeah.
that. And yeah, I cried so much in that poem. But mashallah, she is really good. And I feel the same for your book also. It will
Thank
do very
you.
well,
Thank you.
inshallah. It's really heart touching, and it's a gift that Allah gives.
Yes, absolutely. That's another thing I had to realize, like after not accepting who I am and not like giving my talent a chance, I was denying the world a gift that Allah gave me to share with the world.
True.
So I was keeping it to myself. That was also something it took me a lot of years to realize that. And that was also the motivation behind the book. Like this is the time that I shared with you, with everyone. So
Yeah. And then
alhamdulillah for
it helps to heal the other person also. Like when I read it, it helped me also,
yeah,
that
yeah,
okay. It's a healing journey that okay, some people have the gift to write, others can feel it and feel better about.
yes, yes.
And also let's talk about your new Ramadan journal.
Thank you for mentioning it. So I just launched a Ramadan journal
Is it
today.
online or is it in a book format? Do you have it right now?
I don't have it right now.
Okay.
It's been printed, and it's going to take me another 2 weeks to actually have a copy in my hand. The trailer is out today. You can check it on my Instagram page, on Facebook as well. It is available on Etsy. The pre-launch is live. You can actually order it from now until March 30th, and
Okay.
I will be shipping them out, inshallah. We plan, and Allah is the best planner. So if he agrees, it will be here March 30th, and I will be mailing them out to everybody. Also, it's free shipping actually for US and Canada. I know you're in Brussels, but I've kept shipping very nominal. So if you check it out on Etsy, you'll be able to see how much it would cost you on top of the book. The journal is very, what I try to keep it is it's very user friendly. There's actually no Arabic in it, and the reason I didn't put any Arabic is because it's also supposed to be catering to younger ages. A lot of North American or Western children do not write in Arabic. So I have boxes for du'as and prayers, so they can actually write their own du'as directly that they're going to speak to Allah in those boxes. So you make a list of prayers yourself.
That's nice. Actually, when I saw your trailer, I was like, okay, I need this. I'm already
Thank you.
struggling. I mean, people
Oh,
are
I'm so
posting that
glad.
they are learning or they recite or they learned of it, and I'm
Yes,
like really struggling
yes,
to make my
yes,
5 prayers in Ramadan, with my full-time
yes.
job and the baby.
I never used a planner. This would be my first year as well. And there are so many people like me who have been exposed to these tools. And we grew up as Muslims in a Muslim country. So I think I said that in my post yesterday. We were never exposed to these tools. I don't think they existed as much as they do now. But I want to use this planner as my first planner to plan my Ramadan better.
Yeah, and I think me too. I will try to grab it and then see how it goes, for this
Yes.
year. Because
And
every
of
year I
course,
want to do it better. but it's
Yes,
almost same like last year. I
absolutely. Yeah.
start good, and then the middle is just okay, and then at the end is like, okay, the energy is really down. And
I'm pretty sure we all relate to that, Sana. Like
especially,
honestly,
I think we are in these time zones, the days are really longer for fasting.
we fasted. I think in July we fasted for up to 18 hours.
Yeah.
And I want to, I could be wrong. I think our fasts are going to be 16, 15, or 16 hours this year. So they're coming down. They're coming down. But July, like, would have been our longest fast ever.
Longest, yeah, for us also. So, yeah. Do you have a message for your readers and the viewers?
Um, Check out my poetry. I put a lot of heart and work in it, and I appreciate people like Sana who reach out to indie poets like us. We put out our work out in the world, but if we don't have readers, our book doesn't have value. Our book is as valuable as it gets to as many hands as possible. Every time I see my book in somebody else's hands, it gives me a new purpose for life. It energizes me, and I keep going. I keep going. So check out my book or follow me on Instagram at the Crafted Writer. If you are a practicing Muslim and are fasting this Ramadan, check out my Ramadan planner. I will be sharing more poetry towards the end of the month and into April, because April is actually National Poetry Month.
Okay.
So I will be posting more about, especially about spirituality, because Poetry Month and Ramadan are going to coincide this year.
That's great. I'm looking forward to reading more of your poetry.
Thank you so much, Sarah.
No,
Can I
thank you
ask
so much.
you what poem resonates with you? Can I ask you that?
The second one,
The second one in the book?
Past Midnight, yeah, of the book.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yes. Thank
Yeah,
you.
that's because I just started reading it, so
Okay.
I will keep messaging you as I proceed.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
I am a very, how can I say, talkative person.
Oh, nice. Talk
So,
away.
but I know that other people, they're not as much, or they're shy, but I understand that
Mhm,
point. So
mhm.
I, you will keep seeing messages of me here and there when I leave a
Okay.
comment or something.
Okay.
So
Okay.
people know that I just tell them also, don't feel overwhelmed to reply. It's just my way of telling you that I
Okay.
was here.
We love to engage. Social media, like, something that we forget is social media is supposed to be social. So you're supposed to engage. That's why you're there. You're not there as a silent, like a silent seer or witness. So
No.
you should be engaging with your audience. So
But some
I'm
people I
totally with
know
you.
that it's very hard for them to engage, or they're
Yes.
just there to have a presence, but they're really
And
shy or introvert.
I
So I
absolutely
understand that
respect
part
that. Yeah,
also.
I absolutely respect that. Like, it
Uh,
needs to have some sort of place in your life to be able to do that. Yeah.
But I like to talk, so I started this show also. So you will not give me time otherwise. So this is the way I will get 40 minutes from you
Oh,
to talk.
always. I'm always there for my readers, and I so appreciate it. And if I'm not able to, I will let you know. Like, clear is kind is something that I learned through
Yeah,
my coach.
that I really
Yeah.
appreciate also.
Oh
And I'm
no,
also
thank you
like
for
that,
reaching
that
out.
okay, if you're busy, we can do it some of the time later, and so I
I
was
make
like,
time for you. I will make time for you.
thank you so much. Thank you.